This meeting is being recorded.
Ooh, that is such a fun entry into this beautiful space. The Energetic Brew class, the monthly gathering for Aries season. We're welcoming you into this space in a way that is about honoring the cycles within cycles. There's so many juicy details to offer you. So just make sure that you're on our email list if you aren't already, because we're going to be giving you more details in an email format instead of rushing you through a huge chunk of information tonight. Tonight's really about grounding ourselves in to small, bite-sized pieces that are digestible so that your nervous system stays open rather than closing down. Because here at the Energetic Brew, that is part of our mission, is to help you digest small pieces, get the most out of these cycles as they're happening. And then the purpose too is talking about the season that is next, which will be Aries season. We're currently in Pisces season. We'll be over next week. And this is the time where, when we are practicing our Chinese medicine principles, looking at what is the season that's coming in and how do we prepare for it before it's currently here. My name is Rochelle McFarlane. Welcome to this. I'm lovingly so blessed and feel so humbled by having Zane with me. Zane, do you want to do a quick intro?
Intro thing of hello, I'm Zane McFarlane, and I'm here to co-host this online class that we are doing tonight. And for those on the replay, I am excited for those that are here and curious on what you will learn, and leave a comment down below on those that are part of the replay to share what you've learned later on.
That's so beautiful. Together, what we do is we look at how can we look at things from two different perspectives. One from the masculine, two from the feminine, but also as a rising Virgo for Zane and a rising Pisces for myself. So we break down what's happening in the transits, give you a body tool, and really help you in a way integrate for the next oncoming season. So with that set aside, inviting you just to shake off the day, releasing whatever might be part of your day that has been here. Maybe it's this last month of activity that's been happening. So just inviting you to maybe shake your hands, tap your feet. And we always like to honor the directions, the winds of the south, west, north, and east, the mother, the father sky, grandmother moon, and grandfather sun, just calling that energy in as we maybe tap our heels, shrug our shoulders, and wiggle about our body, really feeling where we might be a little bit stuck, where we might be feeling a little bit of stickiness, maybe sluggishness. For me, I was in the garden today. I have a lot of extra bouncy ball like energy. So, wherever you are at, just releasing and letting go, coming into our breath in the nose and out the mouth. Oh. And this is the beautiful part about being at home and online is that we're not going to hear how loud you might be in that sigh. This is really important in this grounding practice, in this section of connecting and aligning. You'll notice that I'm rolling my shoulders back, full to the back, full to the front, feeling those shoulder blades coming up and around. And as you're there, just really coming into that breath and in the nose, out the mouth, feeling that breath coming in and inviting it to come up through the root chakra from the earth, breathing it in and exhaling it out. And then noticing if you can bring that breath in again up through the root and into the sacral, into that belly, and relaxing again, dropping the shoulders down away from the ears. And as you're resting into your body, feeling maybe your sit bones, feeling your sacrum, feeling in those that whole pelvis bowl, just really taking the breath into that area from the bottom of the feet, up the legs, into the chest, letting it come through naturally at your own pace, down the arms, down the fingers, maybe giving those hands a little bit of a wiggle. And the same with the toes, just releasing that tension, relaxing that jaw as much as possible. And if that feels good for you to do some gentle movement in the neck, we're not here to do a workout class. We're just here to really bring the breath into parts of the body that might need it. And again, because we are in Pisces season, I'm wanting you to focus on the feet, spanning out the toes. Pisces rules the feet, so we're going to honor where we are right now in this present moment. Just allowing them to spread out, those toes, foot bones. And if you are sitting down, maybe just place your feet so they can be sort of flat on the ground or flat on a surface. And we're going to take the breath into the bottom of the soles of the feet. We're just going to spend a couple of breaths here, breathing in through the nose and sighing out the mouth. And letting that energy really start to feel it pulsate. Let it feel that it's sort of building in the feet with that breath. And then just noticing what and where that feels for you. With this breath, we're going to start bringing in more energy from the feet. And we're going to start bringing it all the way up to our head. Because the next season that we're going into, Aries, is the energy is all related to the head. And so as your breath is feeling natural for you, an equal inhale to an equal exhale, bringing that telluric energy from the earth up through the feet and up, 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 up through the knees to the hips, into the rib cage, up the back of the spine, through the chest to the shoulders, to the elbows, into the hands, the palms, the fingers. And then bringing that energy again back up the fingers to the palms, the wrists, into the elbows, into the shoulders, feeling it along the traps, the back of that top muscle from the shoulders up that goes up into the neck, and feeling it in your throat, back of the neck, into the face, and then up to the top of the head. Really feeling that breath coming up all the way through the body and then coming up and out the top of the head. Just bringing that energy through the body. And just noticing and honoring where and what might come in as you think about having enough fun in the sun, allowing yourself to acknowledge where your energy might be. Are you feeling sensitive to light? Maybe low energy? Just allowing whatever that is to be, letting it come forward, letting it be seen. And then wrapping whatever that is that needs to be seen into the color red. We're here to honor the inner fire within us this evening, allowing the breath to be natural and calm. Letting that color red coming in, just with this pure love, this pure sense of joy, allowing it to be what it is without judgment. Just letting it be. Staying with your breath. Feeling that belly fill, the lungs fill, and then exhaling nice and gradually. As we're here to honor Aries, we're also here to honor Mars, the sense of action, this inner fire within us. And staying with the breath. Allowing our connection to this inner fire, this inner warrior, this inner peacekeeper that is starting to wake up in the land and within ourselves. And asking for this color red to continue just to wrap us up in this connection of love, a connection of joy, and giving ourselves full permission to receive more of that in our lives. And as we're breathing, I'm just inviting you to come back to this space. Those that are watching on the replay, you might want to grab your journal. And maybe if there's something, a key that came forward for you, something that came about that you want to capture and write down. This might be a time to pause the recording if you're needing to. And then for those of you that are here live, as you're coming back to your body, I'm wanting to create a little bit of a body practice now to capture what may have come forward, what may have been needed to be seen, and let's bring some balance with our tool, with our body tool. You're just going to hear me flip my book here. There is a specific point that we're going to be holding on the head this evening, and it's just at the back of the head. If you feel where that bump is on the occipital, like the bottom bump of our head, you're just going to come up a little bit further, and it's about 2 inches above that part. For those that know their body and anatomy, it's the posterior fontanelle. It's a soft spot that's at the back of the head. And we're going to just use our fingertips just ever so slightly. And we're going to hold this point. And part of holding this point is giving our fire a little bit more attention inside of our body. It's going to come into this connection of how we are capable of moving forward in our life. This Aries season is going to be potentially really fast-paced for some. And so this point here is the point we have chosen to work with because it helps to balance the inner fire, the inner capacity for the metabolism. It helps with the flexibility in the hips and in that pelvic floor. And as we're holding that point, there is a request of just rocking the hips a little bit, ever so gently if that feels good, and activating the hips. As you're rocking the hips, potentially, you can think about doing a figure 8 if that feels good. as you're holding this point, and of course, coming back to that breath. And then in the next few moments, you might start to feel this pulsation of your hands at the back of your head. And so just start to pay attention, or like what we like to say is play attention. And that this is starting to feel like an equal pulsation. And allowing that color red to come into wherever your body might need it as you're holding this point. So you might want to bring your arms down and shake them out a little bit. Those of you who are here live, we're going to do a check-in in just a moment. I'm going to wrap up this section of the recording with just a couple of things about this point. It is about bringing more blood flow to an inner muscle on the inside of our leg called the Taurus. And we can feel this muscle when we do like a seated position, and the opposite heel goes to the opposite knee. So you kind of make like a letter, a number 4 sort of feeling to it. You can feel that muscle on the inside of your leg. Some of us might feel it it's kind of like doing tree pose, but the knee cradles the foot and kind of comes forward. And so part of this muscle in here, it's about how we position our hips, but also when we're bending down and getting back up, it's a muscle that's part of that. And I know with gardening season coming up, we can hold that point at the back of our head before we start to garden, and we can strengthen that part of our body so then we can start to have more movement and helping our hips to be in alignment with the rest of the body. Yeah. I don't know, there's something about the adrenals that also can get fired up in this Aries season. So this is another way we can soothe our adrenals. And I just want to check in with Zane if there was anything that I missed on that. No? Okay, cool. So looking at how this season of Aries, a lot of us can be in this a lot of fast-paced action. So again, this body tool of holding the point at the back of the head, I'm just going to read off our notes. If we're having some weakness in the pelvis, meaning that like it can be twisting, or we might have some knee pain or a knocking of the knees, meaning that the knees are coming in, this is a sign that the sartorius muscle needs a little bit of help and support. So this is one way that we can have that support happening. The other part that can be showing up in the body is the adrenals. They can be like the adrenals might be showing up as like really tired in the morning, really slow, really not getting into feeling like I can get up and go. So if we're noticing that in the morning, this is again, before we get out of bed, we can hold this point at the back of the head and start bringing in positive intentions, making it more present. Like I'm ready to get up and I can do such and such, and I'm excited about it, or I'm looking forward to it. The other part is that if we're having a low blood sugar, hives can be something that can show up for us. Asthma, being able to breathe and having that feeling of breathing. And then one other indication that the sartorius is something that's acting up is that there can be some pain just above the knee. And then that can be, you know, a sign of needing some alignment support. So let me know if you have any questions here in the chat or in the comments. Again, this point is just at the back of the head, and we're just holding it enough so that we can feel the skin. So this is part of our grounding in and meditation section for the Aries season. And again, this is the body tool part. So we'll be back to talk about the transits in just a moment. We're going to tend to those that are here live and answering their questions and connecting with them. So we'll see you in just a little bit. Hang on a minute. I'm going to pause it. All right, welcome to the transit section of our monthly class for Aries season. It's going to be an interesting Aries season. And there's going to be some really interesting things that Zane's going to be talking about with this upcoming eclipse on March the 25th. And this might be a time where a lot of people could be afraid. And that's why we're here. It's allowing us to really talk about the ingredients of the energetic brew, of what could be surfacing within us and the collective. And then Zane's going to give us some explanations about this whole eclipse. So I'll hand it over to Zane. My voice went up. Zane. Anyway, thanks.
Questioning that, am I ready to hand over the microphone?
No, I think because, you know, and I digress for just a second. When we talk about the cycles within the cycles, there is always room for us to be reviewing and revisiting. And so that was something that Zane and we were talking about last night, preparing for this. And yeah, you totally called me out. I was like this hesitation.
Well, I'll give the rough notes on what are the times to be looking out for and what these key players are. As a reminder, astrology is a lifetime study, so this is a point to grab your note-taking tools or being prepared to leave a comment for those that are in the replay. Leave a comment down below so then we can get your thoughts and hopefully help you understand what astrology can do for you better. But without further ado, within going into this, the next 8 months, or not 8 months, sorry, 8 weeks and a bit, there's a section of degrees that will be revisited over a span of following dates. And these degrees will be happening in Aries. And what will be revisiting these degrees will be the Mercury retrograde. Now, this Mercury retrograde shadow starts on March 18th at 15 degrees of Aries. April 1st, it reaches 27 degrees of Aries, starting its retrograde to move back towards that 15 degrees. And at that point of 15 degrees, April 25th is when it reaches that and starts going direct at 15 degrees of Aries. That will then continue. Mercury will then start moving forwards and reach the end of its shadow by May 13th is when it exits the retrograde shadow. But what is a retrograde shadow or shadow during a retrograde? Is a section where a planet will repeat the same degrees. As it revisits those degrees, we may have a repeat of lessons during this time, go slower with communicating, as I'm needing to do now, as I feel like I need to go fast. So this is a clear example of that piece of that Mercury retrograde, of me wanting to go faster than what my mind can go or my voice can go. And so now it's that piece of, hey, I need to take a moment, take a breath, go slower. And so you may have that same piece as our thoughts and minds could feel like they're going a lot faster pace than what we're ready for. We may have insights that we want to share with others, yet may not have the words to flow ease. So please take this time to be gentle with yourself and others during these coming weeks, as especially since there's a lunar eclipse within this time frame. As we're experiencing this lunar eclipse, this lunar eclipse is yin energy. So let's take a moment here, pause, and share collectively what we know about yin energy. For those here in live, share in the chat what you know about yin energy. Those that are in the replay, comment down below of what you know about yin energy here. as yin energy yin energy is the feminine energy, the darkness, the chaos, the creative energy. Now, within this piece, it's looking at now how can we take in this energy and be able to form it into a way of creativity in a slow paced manner way within our thoughts and communication. Metaphorically, the yin energy is receiving a shadow from the earth as the full moon is taking place. This is the time when our emotions could be heightened beyond what we expect. Yet for those who have been taking time to honor their emotions and their emotional wellness may have a sense of liberation because this opposing transit is happening at 5 degrees of Libra and the sun is at 5 degrees of Aries. For those who are here live or on the replay, take a look and see what your chart might have at 5 degrees of Libra and Aries and Cancer and Capricorn, as these have clear indications of what might be affecting you personally within your life, within your astrological code. As Cancer and these 4 signs are all cardinal signs within the cardinal mode or energy, the seasonal energy to them. And 5 is all about freedom and seeking the abundance in our life experience, or the low side is feeling trapped in scarcity. And to honor those that are alive, we are going to take a moment here to check in and stop this recording. But before we do, I just want to check in with Rochelle here to see if she's got anything to add to these notes, as she was hesitant to hand over the microphone earlier.
I love you for that. Yeah, this is a juicy eclipse that's going to happen. It's really going to be affecting some of North America, a lot of South America. It's also going to be touching into the UK and the Europe area. So generally when an eclipse happens, it's this quaking, it's this darkness that's in. Thank you for that beautiful explanation. It's this darkness that comes in. It's the connection to chaos. It's a connection to what is it that I need to face when it comes to this shadow bit. And the part that I want to add is Libra and Aries, they're connected across the table. There is this connection of self and how do I connect with others. So depending on what house this axis sits in, or the houses that this axis is sitting in, will depend on how this is going to be connecting to you. So depending on, if you don't know your chart, I'm going to really encourage you to reach out for a reading. We will be looking at helping more people with some more series coming up later in the spring and into the summer and fall on how to pull your chart apart, how to sink into it, and to really understand that when these transits come up, how you are being activated. So for the collective, before we pause for our students that are here live and participants that are here live, the collective might be starting to see, how do I act with others? How am I in myself? And how do I want to connect with others? So Aries is all about the self, whereas Libra is about the other. So we're going to maybe see a breakdown of relationships. We might see a build up of relationships because of boundary setting, a sense of justice, a sense of connection, and how do I balance myself well in relationship. So again, I really want to say thank you to Zane for putting this part together. 5 again is that sense of freedom. So we're going to probably see, and we've already been sort of seeing it for those that like to watch the news or see what's happening in the collective. We're seeing a lot of freedom seeking standing up. We're seeing a lot of people saying, I have had enough of what's happening and I'm actually going to stand in my power. So in this moment right now, one of the questions that I want to ask you before we wrap this section up, and I just have to scroll to my notes to find it here, is, are we feeling like we are in constant fight or flight? Or are we wanting to go and be on the run all the time? Now, remember this body tool where we hold the back of our head. We can use these questions as journal prompts, but also during this eclipse as it's coming up. Am I wanting to go flight, fight, or freeze? Thinking about the adrenals, because there will be some activation from this eclipse. And so this is where we're really wanting you to help you with one simple tool, holding the back of the head nice and gently, and starting to then reclaim back your power. And so with that, we were going to pause this section before we go into our next section. And that is just going over some of the numerology and talking about a couple of other things that'll be with the new moon as well. So we're going to pause for this. The benefits of showing up live is you get to ask us questions in real time. Those of you watching the recording, you have questions, you can email us at theenergeticbrew@gmail.com, or just pop the question and tag us where you found this recording. So we'll see you in just a moment. All right, welcome back to our next part of the transits. I'm going to hand it over to Zane in just a moment, but I really want you to understand that when we start April, we're going to be going into a shift of a different energy within the month. There's going to be some connections in April that are going to be about expansion, really going to be honoring our capacity to collaborate in a different way, collaborate in a way that is about the mental plane, really getting us into this part of expanding in a mental capacity. And anything that we're wanting to manifest is really about being amplified in April. April is significantly a magical month for us. We're going to start it on a 2. Oh, actually, hang on a second. Cancel that. It's going to be starting with the moon in Capricorn and on a 4 energy day. So what this means is that we're going to be able to create and amplify with some foundation. And when the moon is in Capricorn, this is really about our journey. This is about getting there, feeling motivated. So as March ends, we might notice that we're gaining momentum. And then April will start and it'll be like, ooh, let's rewind that a little bit. And remember from that segment from before, we will be in that Mercury retrograde period. So slow down our communication, revisiting emails before we send them off, revisiting text messages before we send them off, maybe even in how we speak to someone else. We want to maybe just think about it first, write it out, let ourselves go slower, and especially when we're speaking to ourselves. So Zane has some interesting and connected things for us to be thinking about for April when it comes to understanding the solar eclipse and understanding what this part of the North Node is all about. So with Zane, I will let that go over to you.
I'm guessing you'll let me take over as you mute yourself early.
You're welcome. It was that whole phlegm thing coming up for me. It's a good time for detoxing. I tell you, nothing better than being live and recording yourself and feeling like you're shedding from the inside out. Yeah. Thanks, son.
But to start us off, we got the total solar eclipse happening at 11:17 a.m. on April 8th, which will be a 2 energy day. This will also be happening, the new moon will be happening at the same time. This will be happening at 19 degrees Aries. So look at your chart again, that Aries Libra axis, that Capricorn Cancer axis. See what you have at 19 degrees and what's being highlighted within this new moon total solar eclipse that's happening. But we also have the sun conjunct a sun Chiron conjunction happening a few minutes after this total solar eclipse. And so this will be a major point in time of setting intentions about deeper parts of self that may have been avoiding to deal with when it comes to showing up within relationships. How we bring in balance by claiming the parts of us that have been hurt. We may need to dig deep and self-check about what we have been avoiding, since there is a conjunction of the Chiron and Sun. Like I've said, this will be happening at 19 degrees again, April 8th, same day that the solar eclipse is happening. It may feel like there's laser focus on how we've been hurt. This could be showing up in the collective, like there's been a highlighter over childhood wounds. This could be within any part of the ESP triad of whole being wellness. So within that part, Rochelle, what do you have to add?
Some of you might be asking, what is the ESP triad? Well, when it comes to our emotional, social, our structure, our play, our posture, our physical well-being, when it comes to whole being wellness. So as we were here in part of the live, again, the benefit of showing up live is we get into some nitty-gritty, private, juicy stuff. We just finished having a huge conversation about Chiron. And that was a really good segue about what is going to be happening when it comes to April the 8th. It's a huge day. It's a day that we really want to be going slow for ourselves, really feeling like it's okay. I don't know, my internet is all of a sudden unstable. I don't know. Am I still here? Okay. Zane's not nodding. Maybe I paused.
You're a little bit, you're still here, but you're like robotic, kind of fast paced all of a sudden sometimes. Like,
Oh, weird. Okay. Very
you're
self-reflective.
like the yeah, you're like yeah, chipmunk quick speaking here.
Is that still happening?
No, you seem clear now.
Okay, sweet. Might be some reflection of my own Chiron stuff coming up, and that's completely okay. This is a time for humanity to come together and to be able to say it's okay that we've been hurt. It's not okay if we don't deal with it. And if we're not dealing with it, what'll end up coming up into is it potentially can come out in our emotional body, our spiritual body, and our physical body. So as Zane was saying, like it's like this highlighter is coming over the collective and saying, hey, remember this? You haven't dealt with it. Or it can be a feeling of celebration, like, hey, I have been dealing with this. We can have, again, this axis of Aries and Libra. It can be self in balance, self out of balance with others, and a combination thereof. So really taking this time. What I'm really thinking, it's also a good time for new beginnings for us, a cleaning of the slate. Because of that 19 degrees coming into numerology, 1 and 9 equals a 10. And in numerology, we come down to a 1. So this could potentially be a new moon of new beginnings. Also, the fact that it's a new moon in Aries. So for those of us that follow more of the astrological calendar, Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. So Chiron showing up could be the opportunity for great healing for us. And I want to add that then on the 23rd, we will be having that full moon. So I know we'll be having class between now and then again in on April the 11th. So we'll be diving into that a little bit more. If you haven't found your way into reserving yourself a spot or booking yourself in for a mini reading for the class, now would be a good time to do that, because here is going to be a great time for more healing for us, more connection for us. And then what better way to actually then be viewing these times for us in our chart, so that we personally can see what is happening within our chart. With that, we will be sending out some connections of what will be happening throughout some of the dates for the rest of Aries. And one of the things that I want to land on last and really drive home is the North Node is where and how our soul is here to learn. So the North Node is about where we need to head. And for myself, my North Node is in the house of relationships with Virgo. So here I need to learn relationships and truth seek through relationships. I need to learn how to relationship with people in a way that resolves and brings truth to it. There's something that has happened when we can start to understand where our North Node is. Zane's North Node is in the house of business and career, so he's here to learn about that. Is there something wrong with us being not knowing how to do things? Not at all. It's, as we opened up in the beginning, I talked about small bits, keeping our nervous system open so we can stay curious. And that's what we're really here to do with the energetic brew, is help you to stay open, to be curious, and then give you a body tool that matches up with the astrology, that matches up with also the other energetic frequencies and other modalities that we like to dip our toes into. So with that, we are at our time for this evening, releasing you in a good way. Those of you that are here live, we'll stay for a few more minutes. Zane, is there anything that you want to close off with? Any closing comments for those watching the recording here?
Appreciate you watching this recording and joining us for tonight, and hope to see you in one of our live classes sometime.
Beautiful. Yes, thank you. And for those of you, the recording is here on YouTube, so make sure you are hitting that subscribe button, the like, obviously leaving us some comments, some kind words of encouragement. And what did you get out of this class tonight? What is it that is landing for you? And again, questions are very, very much appreciated, because that's how we learn as well, making sure that we are here to serve for you, because this is part of our karma, and our dharma is helping the collective understand their energetic brew so they can awaken whole being wellness. So much love, and we'll see you all again, and bye for now.